You're not a wise man unless you use your own wisdom. They can't wait to face you, so they try to snake you. Stay alert to stay alive. Watch your back at all times. This was the last Instagram post of the now deceased Big Jook. Yo Gotti's older brother. They did hit him yesterday at a funeral in Memphis. And he was sitting in a truck with his mother, who jumped out the back and ran away. I'm sure they would have shot her if she was in the way. She wasn't the target, but she could have caught one. So Big Jook, the people think is at the center of the conspiracy against Young Dolph, he's no more. So let's explore what could have possibly happened. So first, let's go back. About 6 months ago, a guy named CEO Teasy of the Trulla Mafia, he was gunned down. And there's been a bunch of murders of the Trulla Mafia, which is probably the group of people that it seems like was paid. If you think it was by Big Jook through Yo Gotti, then it was through them. But it was the people that are charged with killing them, with killing Dolph, that are sitting in jail, is Trulla Mafia. And you can watch some of my stuff or other people's stuff that break down the whole Trulla Mafia thing and personal animosities and etc. And supposedly the price tag was $150,000, and Goovan Hernandez is who got that money. Goovan Hernandez, of course, is the guy charged with conspiracy along with the shooters, but he got let out on $90,000 bail. He's walking around. He's been out. Kind of weird, unless you know how criminal justice and politics go in some of these highest crime cities. Your St. Louis's, your Memphis's, probably Baltimore, and see, I know Detroit and I know how it goes. Cities are big cities. There's a lot going on. They're not as, New York or LA or something, Chicago. You're only going to corrupt it so much, because those are still real cities. They got bad parts and they got normal parts, and there's so much legal business going on, they're not going to let it get too out of control. I don't know what goes on in Memphis, but wouldn't surprise me if Yo Gotti had his tentacles into the criminal justice system there. In some sense, the one shooter that's in custody, he got in trouble because he filmed a music video on his cell phone in jail, which of course you're not supposed to have. Right after he got arrested, he released it, right when they were getting charged. He got a lot of publicity for it, so he used the Young Dolph thing to further his rap career. And the judge that actually punished him for that, Judge Coffey, recused himself. He took himself off the case recently. So the for sure ringleader, well, in terms of alleged, Goovan Hernandez, he's out on bond. The brother of the shooter that's in custody, straight drop, he just pled guilty to 3 counts to accessory after the fact. So those are probationable offenses. Accessory after the fact means you come to my house, oh man, I just killed somebody, and I say, oh, I'll get ready to gun, and I'll throw the cell phone, or here's some money for a ticket, or I'm going to drive you to the bus station, or I'm going to drive you out of town, or whatever happened. I think he drove him to Indiana. That's what happened. But back to Big Jook. So I saw the photograph. My boy sent it to me. Big Jook laying on, I guess he got shot in the car and stumbled out, laying on the curb, bloody. Looked like he got him in the head. He was in the car with another guy and his mother. I don't think or was it the other guy, his mother? There was someone else in the car. The guys, the shooters, because there's all type of witnesses, were 2 black males who came in and sat in the service, and they were probably seeing was there security. And when they saw that there wasn't, they left out and hung around, circled around, and they got him. Why Big Jook didn't have security, or maybe he thought he did and people were slacking. And so what was this funeral? They're saying that it was for some drug dealers or drug kingpins. I don't know about that. A lot of people in certain neighborhoods and cities have sold drugs at one time, but it's a guy named Eric Boan. And Boan's back in the 80s and like 89 had a big conspiracy case. Pretty big. I mean, not that big. It was maybe 100 kilos, which is, a lot, but some people sell 100 kilos a couple times a week for years on end. Eric Boan, I found an article he made the Washington Post in a tangential article about the U.S. Marshals selling off seized jewelry from DRUG cases. He had a big plate like that big. There's some photos of him that said Las Vegas Eric, because he liked to go in Las Vegas, surrounded in rubies, and Las Vegas Eric and like 168 diamonds or something. So Eric Boan did about 10 years, so from maybe say 89 to 99, maybe he got parole 97. And then in 09, when the Craig Petty's case was going on, he popped up back in the news cycle because he was going to court at the same time Petty's was. Of course, Petty's had that huge case with LaBarbie, the CARTEL member. But Boan's case in 09 was for pharmaceuticals. He had a crooked doctor, and he would go and get 20, 30 prescriptions at a time and then sell them. So that's a lucrative business. I mean, you're not going to make quite the volume of money, but probably a higher profit margin, less penalty, easier quality of people to deal with as far as the customers. But Boan's sort of defense, or how he didn't get much time then, was he had already had several strokes. So Eric Boan, you'll see in these photos, was, like a real cool guy in Memphis. He had a club, supposedly that Memphis Jook dancing is popular. The Boans either made up or it got popular in their club, Mr. B's, I think it was called, for Boan. He dressed suave, handsome guy, but I guess heavy cocaine user. So he had a bunch of strokes. He had like 2 or 3 strokes before even the pharmaceutical case. And he had another stroke not long after that, and he just died. I think he was only 62, and that's whose funeral they were at. And, of course, his family, like Gotti's sister and stuff, was posting on their Instagram stories where they were going to be. And whoever this was, sure seems like it would have something to do with Dolph. There's been a lot of murders of Trulla Mafia people connected to Black Youngsta. Black Youngsta is like persona non grata. If I had to guess what happened, Big Jook was in charge of the operation. Black Youngsta was kind of doing things on his own and not getting the job done, and Gotti distanced himself from him because he was making him hot. Big Jook, though, was making fun. He did that infamous post where he showed a mural that had, I think, NLE Choppa, Yo Gotti, and Dolph in the middle. And he said, why would you put a bitch ass, in the middle between 2 real ones? I think he made fun of Gotti on made fun of Dolph on the anniversary of Dolph's death. Just recently, Dolph's fiance went into Rolling Stone magazine to complain about lack of movement on the case. These guys have been in custody 2 years. Goovan Hernandez, the ringleader's out on bail. And, of course, Goovan Hernandez's daughter was gunned down there in Houston. And people were trying to say, well, she had just left a dice game with the Princess. Well, she didn't get robbed. She was just driving in Houston and someone pulled up, gunned her down. How did they know who she was in the car? That was obviously a hit. Goovan Hernandez made posts saying, I can't believe my lifestyle cost my daughter his life. Sounds like Orange Mound Quet, which was his nickname, a.k.a. Goovan Hernandez, knew that his involvement. So I don't know nothing about Memphis, so I'm not dry snitching, and I'm just repeating the common internet lore, I guess. But if it's the most plausible story, Dolph has some people that wasn't taking this line down, been knocking off different people. None of them are in custody. Dolph's people are quiet. People don't really know who they are, I guess, who's really doing the work. I don't see stuff on the internet about them. Because they learn from the mistakes of Gotti's people, or they just know what they're doing more, or whatever. But who were these two guys? There were a lot of witnesses. There may have been a license plate captured on the video. If the Memphis PD has been dragging their feet so far, this is an embarrassment. This is on national news. People getting killed at a funeral. This sounds like Al Capone, mafia stuff. This is how a city can start to feel. You know, the city leaders are going to the mayor like, this is too much. Pressure's going to be put on the police. They're going to try to get these guys. That's for sure. It's hard to believe Goovan Hernandez is not in custody. But yeah, so they were at the Boan family, or Eric Boan funeral. Eric Boan, people are saying that's who put up the money to start Gotti's career, CMG. What's that supposedly called? Consolidated Music Group, but it was initially Cocaine Music Group, and people told him to change the title. Gotti has a reputation as somebody that really was getting money in the streets, though some people say that was Jook who was the street guy, and maybe the Boans did put him on. Eric Boan was married to their aunt, so they're related to the Boans by marriage, but the aunt was actually in Boan's case. I found an appeal from 1993. She got 84 months, which is, 6 years, seven years for a drug conspiracy. Stuff was being run out of her house. So Yo Gotti and Jook's family definitely connected all the way back to the 80s to pretty serious large-scale cocaine dealing. Eric Boan by 2009, at which point I think that's when Gotti's career started kind of taking off. I mean, he had been around before that, but he was getting bigger. And Jook was his brother and his right-hand man, and he would have been the cutout guy. Now there's the conspiracy that if Goovan Hernandez is going to talk, it would be that he would talk on Big Jook, and that Yo Gotti let his own brother get taken out. Because Yo Gotti immediately, he went to the funeral or the wake or whatever happens first, but he wasn't at the final event where they whacked Big Jook. I'm sure they would have got Yo Gotti too. He got on a plane to Atlanta, but that's because, as you know, if you live in that part of the country, big blizzard going on, the Memphis airport was probably going to get shut down, so he got out of there and got to Atlanta fast. Did he let his brother get knocked off? If Jook was handling everything, then now Goovan Hernandez can tell on a dead man, Big Jook. And Big Jook can't tell on nobody because he's a dead man. But Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother's dead. Is this going to be the end of it? Are they even? Does Yo Gotti want to be in Memphis anymore? Memphis, think about Memphis. Memphis, by population, is about the same size as Detroit, but it's a more country town. It's much more spread out. I looked up the population density is only about a third of Detroit, and Detroit's pretty burned out at this point. It's a very spread out large city. It's several hundred square miles. Might be 600 square miles? No, 200 square miles maybe? 300 square miles. I mean, like, Detroit's a very big city, and I think Memphis is twice as big physically with the same amount of people. So, but I doubt if you can really hide. I mean, you see what's happening to all these people, but there's been a lot of murders. This has got to be a main. They might be calling in the feds. The locals may be asking for the feds now because they need to put this to a stop. It's making Memphis look bad. They whacked Big Jook at a funeral. So Big Jook was at a funeral for his uncle Eric Boan, guy who had sold a lot of cocaine in the 80s. We know he was selling prescription pills as of 2009. Had a bunch of strokes from his cocaine use, which is what his lawyer said. So this is really the street life in a nutshell. You know, bad health from doing drugs all your life. Everyone knows each other. There's family ties. I'm your friend, but I'm also their friend. We all went to elementary school together. Like, I wouldn't want to be in no beefs in Detroit because, you know, people know where I live. I know where they live. We know each other. L.A., is so big. I mean, you might be able to hide out or go to another part of town, New York too, even Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, Detroit, New Orleans. You can't really be in those cities. I'm surprised those guys are there much, but you would think he would have had security. Now, that's where the Dolph conspiracy, or the Gotti conspiracy part comes in. Maybe Jook did have security, and they were told to stand down. People kill their family members in the real streets if it's to keep them out of prison. I'm not proposing that. I doubt if that's what's happened, but who knows? So if you follow the standard theory that it was Gotti who had it done, he would have done it through Big Jook. Big Jook paid Goovan Hernandez. Hernandez paid the shooters. No Big Jook, no case on Yo Gotti. So rest in peace, Dolph. I liked him. I don't know about the rest of these guys. I'm not wishing death upon them, but more to come. Is going to heat up. At this point, if this was going on, Gotti better stay out of Dodge or do something. I was told Gotti got, remember when Dolph got shot in L.A. at the shoe store? I was told Gotti got shot in L.A. too. Not that bad, and they covered it up. No one knew about it. So this has been violent all along. It wasn't just over a couple rap songs. It might have started over that, but they've been. And then someone told me Dolph spit on Gotti at an airport not long before Dolph got killed. That's probably, like, it's one thing to talk bad back and forth and then leave it alone, but you spit on somebody, they might say, man, that guy got to go. And Big Jook was probably in charge, but he's not in charge of anything now. Gotti should beef up his security. Pray for Memphis. Al Prophet, American Dope.